Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining in. This side, Rahul Magan here as the Chief Executive Officer of Treasury Consulting LLP. And today we are going to cover another interesting topic on our investment banking on our YouTube channel, which is based out on investment banking, which is shortly known as creeping acquisitions. Now, as you very well understand that our YouTube channel is always try and give you something new about it. So in that regards, this time we are coming up with a video on creeping acquisitions, and especially at the time when exactly creeping acquisitions matters across the globe. Because sincerely speaking, a lot of activity which is happening in the capital markets, wherein the promoters are trying to increase the stake, especially in India, because stock market is going very high because of some emotional and the fundamental reasons, and stock market is expected to touch 30,000 again, and the banking sector also, although it is not doing good, but still there are a lot of fundamentals, a lot of views in the market that it would go ahead and touch the way. So what promoters are doing, promoters are trying to increase their stake in the system, and this shortly is known as creeping acquisition. Now, as we very well understand that creeping acquisition is a very important concept across the globe, and especially at the time when the promoters are sincerely interested in increasing their stakes, and investment banking is turning very important, not to mention this. So what we are doing, we are bringing up a topic which is creeping acquisition for you. Here is a definition of the creeping acquisition. Creeping acquisition refers to the purchase of company shares by its own investors. 99.99% these are not investors, these are promoters, because it is the promoters who are basically who are increasing their stake in the company. So creeping acquisitions refers to the purchase of a company shares by its investors, usually promoters, with the sufficient holding over a small transaction, so as to increase the investor's stake in the company by economically significant amount without requiring any disclosure on the other action. Because if you buy the stake of the company with an extreme big amount, which is shortly known as the bulk lot in investment banking term, then you need to pass through variety of regulators, and I think you need to give lot of declaration also. That is not the point, that in creeping acquisition there is no need to give any declaration. There is a reason to give any declaration, but not as versus you have in terms of other. I'll repeat creeping acquisition in other words. Creeping acquisitions refers to the purchase of a company shares by its investors, usually promoters or shareholders with the significant holdings over a number of small transactions, as to increase the investor's stake in the company by an economically significant amount without requiring any disclosure or any action by the investor. Thus, creeping acquisitions allow promoters, basically the principal owners, to increase their stake in the firm up to the maximum limit under the prevailing law. In India, creeping acquisition is very famous. If we carefully see that since the market is going very good and not much action has happened in the market when it comes to the downturn. So if you carefully see, there are a lot of new steps, lot of creeping acquisition happen in India as well. Now this is how mechanically creeping acquisition would go. Now previously it was 15% that you can go till 15%, but now it has increased to 25%. So that if you have a stake X percent, you can increase this by 25%, to be very honest. Now what had happened is this. Now suppose you have an existing stake of 30% and you wanted to increase by another 25% by a creeping acquisition, which is the lots of 5%. So not to mention, if you do this, then of course you would be the biggest shareholders in the system, because if not biggest, then at least your say would be greater than 7%. Your say would be greater than 50%. Now what do you do if you continue to do in a small lots of 5%? There is no problem as per the law. But if once you reach to a level of 55%, and then you need to give the lot of disclosures to the people, to the regulator, that you are already at 55% and you are still interested in doing creeping acquisitions. Now what exactly it would happen at once you cross the 55%, then how you can increase this? You can increase only via two way, which is you need to purchase using market buyback from the market, or you can do the buyback of the shares. Basically, if the buyback is happening, then you can participate and increase your stake. But other way around, creeping acquisition can be possible using another way, like right renunciation. You have right issues, you have bonus shares, you have a lot of way. Like in the last video we mentioned about investment, which is dilution management. So using dilution management, you can do till 55%. Using dilution management, you can do anything. But after 55%, you are strictly restricted, and you can only increase your stake by by market purchase or by the buyback. You very well understand that market purchase do not happen very often. It takes some time, and buybacks is certainly take some time. Buybacks is of two types. One is ASR. ASR stands for accelerated share repurchase. One is the normal buyback. We are coming up with a video of accelerated share repurchase soon, in which we are going to sincerely let you know that how the accelerated share repurchase work with the system and with the company. So this was all about creeping acquisitions. Before going ahead, we want to show you one more document, that in creeping acquisition the limit is still maintained at 25% in the lots of 5%. So you can increase your stake, and once you go at the 55%, you need to go to the market and you need to wait for the buyback. I again repeat that buyback is of two types. One kind of buyback is your so-called I would say which is normal buyback, and one kind of buyback would be the ASR. Now if you read this document, if I increase the size of this document to make you viewable, you will get to know about creeping acquisition more. Now let me increase this. Oh sorry, wait a minute. Now you can very well see here. Let me just give me 1 minute. Yes, here we go. Creeping acquisition. Let me increase the size a little more for you, and just a little bit here. Here, the acquirer holding 25% or more voting rights in the target company can acquire additional stakes or the voting right to an extent of 5% of the total voting rights in any financial year, up to the maximum permissible non-public shareholder limit. Now in this, Indonesia is 10%, France is 2%, Hong Kong is 2%, UK not has given, Singapore 1% in 6 months, Australia 3%, India is 5%, and we are here talking about creeping acquisition for India. Acquisition of the voting rights exceed 5% in any financial year trigger open offer obligation. For computing the said 5% critical limit, limit goes as follows. Gross acquisition will be considered without netting off any reduction in the shareholder or the voting rights owing to the disposal of share or the dilution of the voting rights or the new shares to be issued. In case of new issue of share by the target company to the acquirer, the difference between the pre and post allotment percentage to be taken into consideration. So different countries would have different mechanism of the creeping. Like if you carefully see, Indonesia would have 10%. If you see, France is having 2%. If you see, Hong Kong is having 2%. Singapore is having 1%. Australia have 3%. India have 5%. But creeping acquisitions are generally misused by the people. How? Because what they're going to do, they're slowly going to increase 5% per financial year. So suppose I am 30% partner of a company and I wanted to be a 50% partner. So how much amount of additional stake is required? Which is 5%. Oh sorry, which is 20%. Now that 20% I can acquire in 4 years, because if I have the capability to buy back to increase my stake by 4% using creeping acquisition, I can certainly do so. What is the point? There is no point in that. Now if I continue to do so, there would be a period of time when I would be the voting right of the company, and this would create a lot of conflicts in the system, because it might possible that the right person is not on the job and so on and so forth. So any kind of stuff that way. So creeping acquisitions are majority time used for non-prudential reason also, that we sincerely need to understand. Not prudential reasons could be, you very well understand it, vary from like in the case of so basically, and especially in the country like India, where the regulatory is not very strong. So that few things which we need to consider. What are the various options when it comes to the dilution management? You can very well see. In our earlier videos which we produced, that what are the various options in the dilution management. So this was about today, and hope you liked this video, and hope you understood that creeping acquisition is not a good stuff, but unfortunately we cannot stop that, and we cannot I would say the laws, like different countries of the world have different law, like Singapore is having 1% in 6 months, so which is 1 year is approximately 2%. So that is something you need to understand, and also with the rational. With this, we would like to thank you very much, and we would like to bring in your notice that our website is almost on the way, and I think probably by next week we would be launching our website, and at the same time we are also launching a platform on the LinkedIn pertaining to Treasury Consulting LLP. This platform will keep you updated about everything what Treasury Consulting is doing. We're also honored to announce you that we are just done with the 7th international collaborations across the globe, and we are looking forward for 8th collaboration soon. And our brand, which is Foreign Exchange Beverly Thinker, is spreading very fast. You very well understand about this, that we are let me just decrease the space. We are everywhere nowadays. We have wait a minute, why it is not decreasing? We are Dailymotion, Dropbox, LinkedIn, Skype, YouTube, Google Blog, Google Groups, SlideShare, WeChat, Snapchat, Telegram, Facebook. We are everywhere. We would like to thank you very much for your help in making our brand better, and you are always welcome to contact us here, which is our brand is available at these spaces. You can very well see LinkedIn FX Club, YouTube channel, Dailymotion channel, Derivatives Group, Basel 3, Foreign Exchange Academies on Facebook, Skype, Google Group and all, everything. You are welcome to contact us at this number. We are always reachable, and we are coming up with our new email IDs soon. This probably take by next week. We would have our own different email IDs of the Treasury Consulting LLP. At the end, we thank you very much about the creeping acquisitions for giving us a time, and we would continue to bring out a lot more videos about creeping, about investment banking. But we would like to bring in your notice that creeping acquisition is not continuously to be misused, especially in the country like India, because of the non-effective regulatory, or maybe little slow regulatory into consideration. Thank you, and have a great day.